手加減はしません。鬱陶しいですね。
Greetings.
行きます。
I'm Force of Nature, and I welcome you to Top Tier Tips. In this session, we're going to be taking a look at the mysterious ninja Kunimitsu. Did you know this is Kunimitsu's first main number Tekken game since Tekken 2? Kunimitsu is a fairly challenging character for players that like flashy mix-ups, flashy combos, and, well, just flashy ninja stuff. Or for players that just want to play a gender-bent Noxus and do stuff like this. Actually, just to clarify, this is actually Kunimitsu's daughter, also known as Kunimitsu 2, because Kunimitsu's mother ended up falling ill and was also defeated earlier by Yoshimitsu and is ended up blinded by him. So basically Kunimitsu 2 is taking her mother's place, and they're both trying to get Yoshimitsu's sword. So yeah, Yoshi, give it up. Anyways, let's get to it. Alright, before I move on or do anything else, let me just slap on this nice thing that has been added in Season 3. That's right, the frame data box. I like my detailed display because I like my frames. Actually, it's a good idea to put on your opponent's frame data also. Kunimitsu's general gameplay is based around speed, poking, and stance-based mix-ups. For instance, Kunimitsu has a 10-frame jab with good range, her down forward 4 is her 12-frame mid, right there is advantage on hit, and down back 4 will be your go-to, well, neutral on hit low, and you also have a 12-frame down 4, which is your quick, unreactable low that is negative on normal hit, and Kunimitsu also technically possesses a 9-frame mid, which is forward forward 4, or forward forward 4 2, but this move is also tremendously negative on block. You see here, both versions of this is minus 17 on block, so this is used solely as either an interrupt or for, well, 9-frame punishment, even though realistically, because it's a double directional move, it's more realistically going to come out on the 10th frame. What you're going to do with Kunimitsu generally is just work in your jab on your opponent, so 10 frames plus 1 on block. The thing about Kunimitsu is her jab has good range, like I just mentioned, and her 1-1 is also good. It goes high mid. If it gets blocked, you're minus 5. The thing that makes Kunimitsu's jab string good is that there's teleport-based follow-ups afterwards. For instance, if you know the opponent's just there blocking, then you can do 1-1-4. See right here, you get this overhead attack right here, leaves you at +3, and then you can like keep doing it afterwards. If the opponent knows to just simply punch you out of that move, then for instance you have 1-1-2. If the opponent tries to interrupt you after 1-1, then 1-1-2 will hit them, and you're safe on block at -9 if they're still blocking. If the opponent knows to step to Kunimitsu's left, then you can do 1-1-1. Although this one is unsafe on block at -11, so you can get like jab punished or 11-frame punished for that, for instance. So this one's only if the opponent knows to step to their right. And of course, you can even just do jab, jab, or you can do 1-1. So you can use like any variation of that. To go along with the use of Kunimitsu's jab in neutral, you can also poke with her 2 strings, so you can do like 2-2, 2-2-2, then press forward and you can go into the Setsuna Gaki stance, for instance. Or you can also use stuff like your down forward 4, like this is a really good mid poke, it's 12 frames, it's like +2 on hit. It's basically a definition of low risk, low reward move. You can also use Kunimitsu's stances to almost try and like kind of beta reaction from the opponent, and then you can either intercept a reckless approach, or even just try and surprise them with a move, for instance. For punishment, you have 1-1. That's gonna be your normal 10-frame punish. If you're on the ball and if you want to try and practice it, it's a little harder. You can also try and punish, for instance, with forward 4-2, but because it's a forward input and because of like buffering on block, that one can be a little tricky. For a standard 13-frame punish, you have forward 2-3, and if you're punishing from crouch, you have while rising 1-1. And for instance, for launch punishment from crouch, it's just simply while rising 3 right there. That's your launch punishment. And for your launch punisher from stand-in, of course, will be down forward 2. It's also 15 frames. You also have a 14-frame punisher from crouch 2, which is while rising 2-4. Your go-to track and move is also going to be your power crush, which is back 2. See, this move right here is 17 frames, so it's basically unreactable, knocks down on hit. I mean, it's a really good home and move, although if it does get blocked, It's minus 13 on block, so of course you can get 13 frame punish for instance. Other than that though, Kunimitsu's Power Crush is a good move. Your other Homan move that you're going to use is forward, or basically, yeah, forward 3+4. Right there, same thing, knocks down a hit, 18 frame Homan move. I know it's a very slightly slower than back 4, but if you end up getting blocked, only a mere -2 on block. Before I go on, I would like to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing this video. And as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like this video, just hit the like button anyway, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy fighting game content. I also want to take this moment to thank my premium top tier fighters for their continued support. If you'd like to become a premium top tier fighter yourself, click on the Patreon link down below. Also, if you're having any difficulty with any of the terminology used in this video, check out this video to see if it can help shed light on the nature of fighting game notation. In close range, once you've gotten your opponent, you're basically going to be leading with your jab because, like, well, why not? Your jab is good. So with your jab, what you're going to be usually using is 1-1, since that string is good. You can also do, for instance, 1-2, except for this, I mean, the follow-ups I know are going to end up being unsafe if you actually end up doing them, and they're just there for the sake of the string. But if you do 1-2, then you're left at -1, so you can try and sneak in a down. You can end up trying sneaking a down to try and get some chip damage, but under most circumstances, 1-1 is going to be better. Alright, I already went over some stuff with regards to what kind of like teleport follow-ups you can do with this, but let's say for instance you do 1-1-4, since I said this will be your go-to, you're at +3. Once you're at +3, what you're going to do is try and open up your opponent with down back 4. If the opponent wants to push buttons, because that's what some people like to do, alright, so you're at your advantage. This is where you have up back 3. So this move right here is -7 on block, it's safe on block, but the main thing about this move is that when it connects on counter hit, it does this to the opponent. So this is basically the do not push buttons when it's not your turn button. When you have the opponent on the defensive, you can also try and sneak in throws. Also, I particularly like these two. Let's take a look at Kunimitsu's stances. The first stance we're going to look at is a Setsuna Gaki stance, which is just called set for short. Alright, this stance can be used during neutral. It can be used during mix-ups when at advantage, and it also can be used, for instance, as like combo filler, as you saw earlier with the bread and butter combos. Set stance can be entered into off of moves such as forward 4 forward, or like 2-2-2 forward, for instance. Alright, so if you were to connect either of these moves on your opponent, and go into the stance, you put yourself at advantage, such as +7. When you enter into this stance at advantage, since if you end up like confirming a hit on your opponent or something like that, your go-to will be set stance 3. This is a low that leaves you on, well, it leaves you at neutral on normal hit. If the opponent ends up, well, pushing a button, because, well, people like to push buttons, then you get a knockdown and leave yourself at considerable advantage. So this is a pretty good low. Let me just turn this off. And let's see, your go-to mid will be set 2. This move in general is just good. I mean, it's good like during mix-ups. If you're using set from neutral, you're basically using it to be able to poke with this move. Set 2 is good. I mean, let's see. It's only a measly -9 on block. It's 12 frames out of the set stance. And let's say this move was to connect on counter hit, for instance. Then right here it ends up causing a tailspin, which you can end up falling up with set 4. Getting back to set stance, so you have your low option with an advantage, you have your mid option, and you have a throw with either 1+2, or 1+4. And naturally your high option is just the one which comes out in 10 frames, and this will be your fast option. And it has numerous follow-ups after it also. In fact, set 1 can lead into the same follow-ups as your jab string. For instance, set 1-1-2-2 is good. And of course set 1-2-4 is good, and you also have set 1-2-1, which is very commonly used as your go-to tailspin move for combos when using set as combo filler. If you're using set in neutral, you can press back to do this kind of slide-in move that Kunimitsu is doing, or you can press down to basically go into crouch. Set can also lead into another stance called Musasabi, which is set 3+4. Musasabi stance only has a couple follow-ups. This mid-hidden dropkick that sends the opponent and yourself flying, and this sneaky teleporting low. Next, we're going to take a look at Kunimitsu's Katan stance. It's entered usually off of 1+2. You can even enter it off of strings such as 1-1, 1+2. And as you see right there, that's even another option that you can do off of your 1-1 string. But unlike the set stance, Katan stance is not really used for like close range, because under most circumstances you're probably going to end up like leaving yourself kind of like negative and stuff like that. And also the kind of options out of it are more so tricky as opposed to necessarily like speed based per se. Like Katan stance essentially is, well, it's basically like your teleport stance. Right here is your high crush and low, which means a move that, well, tech crouch is right here. So this move is usually used to kind of throw off opponents that will basically try and like reflexively try and do a quick high and to be able to maybe stuff your Katan stance or anything like that. Then you have your 2 option. During neutral, for instance, with the Katan stance, what you're actually going to do is use it to transition into the set stance. Like for instance, after this, you can end up using like the frost slide, the low, or the mid right there, which is your go-to mid or low option. So basically, Katan can kind of facilitate other stances. As you see right here, Katan can also go into the back turn stance, which is also called a Yurikarin. I think that's what it's called. I usually just call it back turn stance. So this stance is good for facilitating other potential stance mix-ups. A thing you can do with Katan stance is after you get a knockdown, you can use Katan 3 to basically kind of like meter your opponent or try and attack them on wake up. If this move was to get, let's say blocked, for instance, then at least you safe at -3, so it's not a hugely risky move. Actually, Katan 3 is a bit of an interesting move. This move is basically like a 2D fighter dive kick. Alright, so if like the frame advantage on block or disadvantage actually changes based on distance. -6 is the worst, and if you can get like tip range, alright, if I can kind of get it right now, you can actually reduce the amount of negative frames. Right there, yeah, for instance, I can get it at even +1. So yes, it's basically a Tekken dive kick. Another move that ends up looking similar to Katan 3 is Katan 4. Alright, the difference is Katan 3 hits mid and Katan 4 hits low. Katan 4 also has a follow-up in Katan 4 2. Take note that Katan 4 is incredibly negative on block, and that the second hit is a high. So Katan 4 2 goes low high. However, the fact that Katan 3 and Katan 4 look similar can definitely throw off an opponent if you're not specifically looking out for those Katan options. Katan 2 can be good, for instance, after the 1-1, 1+2 string for opponents that maybe want to try and reflexively retaliate with quick highs, for instance. Also, to augment moves like Katan 3 or Katan 4, you also just simply have Katan up. This one right here is just basically just an empty teleport. So again, you can also use this to try and keep the opponent, just to keep them on their toes, to make sure that they're paying attention to what you're doing out of the stance. And lastly, if you're certain that Katan 3 is going to hit, then you can follow up with the 2 option for a giant launcher. And now we're going to take a look at Kunimitsu's back turn stance, also called Yurakarn. It's commonly entered by just pressing back 3+4. It can also be entered off of strings such as like 1, 2, 2, not that, 1, 2, 2, then back, or like 2, 2, 2, 2, then you press back right there. So this stance is basically just kind of like all the other stances where it kind of can augment. It basically can augment Kunimitsu's like mix-up game. So basically, just by having back turn stance, Kunimitsu ends up getting more options. For instance, a good move out of here is simply her something such as like her back turn 2-3, which is just like forward 2-3. Alright, this move is essentially just used as kind of like just a interrupt again when you have some sort of advantage like that. So see right here, it comes out in 12 frames as opposed to 13 frames, so it's a little faster. Actually, when you are in back turn stance and you're not sure what to do, Kunimitsu's back turn down 3, which is basically looks almost identical to a normal down 4, but here it comes out in 10 frames and it's +3, so you can easily try and sneak in full crouch 3 afterwards, like so. So basically, with that +3, you can enforce a mix-up on your opponent. And with this move coming out in 10 frames and from crouch, this move is basically not really going to get interrupted or intercepted by like almost anything. Though just be a little careful if it's ranged though. If you're concerned that your opponent may end up blocking the full crouch, the full crouch 3 and leave you pretty unsafe, then basically any of your mid options like while rising 1-1, while rising 2-4 is okay, even though the opponent conducted the second hit. Or, of course, your safest option will always just simply be doing while rising 4. From back turn stance, you get the same moves that you would normally get from doing, for instance, set like 1, 2, then you get a teleport follow-up. From back turn, so you do 1, 2, then you get the teleport follow-up afterwards, so it basically kind of works the same way. A lot of these moves commonly do operate mostly as combo filler, but you could still try and like mix up the opponent with those strings, and even then you can even just stop at the second hit. But even then, like I said, the teleport 2 is generally a good move, and if your opponent is blocking, then you always have the teleport 4 option. In general, back turn 2-3 will be your fast 12 frame stand-in option, and down 3 will be your fast low option. You can also use back turn 4, which is a 13 frame high kick. This is basically almost kind of like a back turn like magic 4, so you end up getting a knockdown if it connects on counter hit. Back turn 4 is also a home and tracking move, so that's your tracking option, and you can follow up with a forward 2 if you connect it on counter hit. If you want a more substantial low from back turn, you have back turn down 2, 17 frames, leaves you at +3 on normal hit. And also, Kunimitsu can style on her opponent. She can break dance with down 4. Look at her go. To help out Kunimitsu's back turn mix-up, she also has a back turn throw. So a throw from back turn, the chakra drop. Ends up dealing 45 damage. You press either 1+4 or 2+3. Right here, you launch the opponent up and get this awesome looking throw. And lastly, from back turn stance, Kunimitsu has a pretty dangerous back turn launcher called back turn forward. Backward forward 1+2 right there. Alright, gives a gut stun, comes out in 16 frames. It's a really dangerous move. So essentially, anytime the opponent's like basically being like a little reckless when they see you go in the back turn and like run at you, then just smack them with this for a normal hit launcher. Oh, and if you need a low crushing jumping move, back turn forward 3 is your go-to. Let's take a look at Kunimitsu in the neutral game. Under most circumstances, what you're going to end up doing is usually poking with your down 4-4. This is your good move. You're also going to be poking with your not that move. You're going to be also poking with your 2-2, and of course your jab and your down back 4. Along with those pokes, you're also going to be doing a bit of stance shenanigans. For instance, from set stance, set 2, of course, is your go-to kind of get in move or interrupt or like anything like that. because if the opponent ends up getting counter hit by this move, then they're basically going to be going for a ride. So yeah, set 2 is really good. When the opponent's blocking set 2, then that's when you sneak in set 3, the frost slide. Like, this is a pretty decent low. So along with those 2 moves, you also can do, let's see, you can basically just go into back turn stance normally. And of course, if the opponent runs at you, you have, let me see. You have this move right here, back turn 2-3, or of course, if you're good enough range, then you can do back turn forward, back turn forward 1+2. Well, that move, this range, it's decent range, but it's not like sometimes it can seem a little short. So it's around like the edge of mid ranges where you're gonna be using that. All right, what else is there? All right, there's Katan stance. Katan stance is usually for kind of, I don't know, it's basically kind of like deception. I know all of our stances are based around deception, but what I mean is Katan stance can facilitate other stances, like back goes into back turn stance, forward goes into set stance. So essentially what you can do is do Katan, then what are you going to do? Just do set 2. Or what else you can do? Oh, you can end up doing like set 3 or set 4-2, so you basically end up getting like more options. I mean, like this move alone is just so good, and again, you still have like set 3, you can go into back turn for even more like you can go into like back turn for even like more shenanigans or stuff like that. So I mean, like lots of good stuff that Kuni can do during the neutral game. If the opponent whiffs in front of you, then you can hit them with like forward 2-3, or you can use forward 4-2. Like this move's greatest strength is its speed, even though I know its input makes it a little like awkward. But I mean, it has good range, and it comes out again. This move comes out in 9 frames. I mean, yeah, you're basically going to be predominantly using, again, as like an interrupt or as like a whiff punisher, because, again, really unsafe on block, but, I mean, solid damage at 34. If you want to punish your opponent with a hard knockdown, then quarter circle forward 2 will be your go-to. And, of course, the Shoryuken will be your big punisher. This move does have, I think, slight tech crouch or tech jump properties, so you can use this move to go under some stuff, but, of course, it's a Shoryuken, so it's tremendously unsafe if it does get blocked. So it's one of those moves that you use when you're pretty certain it's probably going to hit. But if it does hit, yeah, you get a big combo. While I'm at it, let's just take a look at Kunimitsu's elbow. The elbow is also known as a down forward 1, or basically your fast mid punch. So this move right here, you see it's a +5, or it's connected on counter hit. If it gets blocked, you're at -2. So I mean, it's 13 frames, so it's fast. It's a pretty typical elbow. I wish it was maybe -1, but that's just me. The thing about this is if this move connects on counter hit, so if you're certain you're going to either intercept something or you're going to counter hit someone, then 1-2-2 is guaranteed. So that right there gives you that good same knockdown as like quarter circle forward 2. So this is a good string on counter hit. Out of a sidestep, for instance, if you're going to be avoiding a linear, well, sidesteppable move, your Will of the Whiffs, so sidestep 4, is a good move. It is tremendously unsafe when it gets blocked, but it's still, I mean, it's a sidestepping, crouching, sweeping low. So I mean, like, it's basically just a good go-to sidestep low. You also have sidestep 2, which is also okay. When you have the opponent at the wall and you wall slam them, for instance, with something, let's say forward 2-3, then follow up with jab, down forward, then down 2-1-2, 1+2. Alright, we're just going to be taking a look at Kunimitsu's throw game right now. Alright, just to start off with the generic throws. Alright, now the left arm throw. Alright, standard 35 damage. You ends up creating a bit of space with Kunimitsu retreating. And now her right arm throw. Switches sides, also does 35 damage. And now her left side throw. Alright, keeps the opponent a bit closer to you. Does, okay damage, 40 damage. And now the right side throw, which is very dizzying to look at. Also gives you 40 damage. And now the rear throw. Alright, not that one. Come on, where is your back? And you just assassinate your opponent for 50 damage. The command throws, of course, are when things get a bit more interesting. Alright, Kunimitsu's standard command throw is up forward 1+2. Like so, her 2-arm throw ends up dealing 40 damage, switching sides. Kunimitsu has another command throw, which is forward 1+4. The interesting thing, most throws come out in like what? Let's see, 12 frames. But and of course you have your ranged throws, whichever character has. But for Kunimitsu, with her 1+4 throw, look at that, it comes out in 11 frames, and it's her iconic Frankensteiner throw. Although it only deals 38 damage, but still, it comes out 1 frame faster. And it looks pretty awesome. Kuni's command throw can also be done out of the set stance right here, so set 1+2, you get the 2-arm throw. Or set 1+4, and you get the Frankensteiner throw. And you also, of course, have a throw from back turn. Right here, just press 1+4 or 2+3. And right here, you get that awesome throw from back turn. Kuni also has a couple parry attacks with back 1+3 or back 2+4. She also can actually do one from back turn, which is actually pretty crazy with 3+4. Looks like this. So yes, so when Kuni has her back to her opponent, the opponent's never safe. Alright, let's take a look at Kunimitsu's rage skills right now. First, we're going to take a look at her rage art inputted with down 1+2. Alright, it's got pretty solid range. And it does deal pretty standard damage at about 55 damage. If it gets blocked, it will leave you at -22, which allows the opponent to punish you with almost anything. And now let's take a look at Kunimitsu's Rage Drive. It's inputted with forward 2+3. Like so, it comes out 16 frames, leaves you at +6, and it does have the ability to wall slam the opponent right there, and you get a little chip damage if it ends up slamming the opponent into the wall. This Rage Drive is fast, has tremendous range, and also gives you like a lot of advantage on blocks, so it's really dangerous. The Rage Drive ends up doing decent damage when it does connect, but it's particularly devastating with regards to certain wall combos. Alright guys, that's it for now. Once again, I would like to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing this video. And as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like this video, just hit the like button even harder, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy fighting game content. I also would like to take this moment to thank my premium top tier fighters again, and so thank you for your support. Anyways, this character is mad fun. This is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips.